Galactic Council meets as an ancient enemy returns. Humans arrive late, unarmed, unimpressive. Aliens mock humanity's short history. Evidence reveals humans survived multiple self-inflicted extinction events. A young alien observer begins connecting ancient warnings. Humans explain why they fight differently. Enemy invasion begins. Alien fleets collapse using honorable warfare. Humans deploy forbidden tactics. Self-sacrifice, psychological warfare, last stand moments. Humans break the enemy by breaking themselves first. Galaxy realizes humans are not heroes, they are the cost of survival. Proper emotional ending with consequences, respect and silence. Welcome to my channel Starlight Sci-Fi Stories. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. The Hall of Accord had not known silence in over 3,000 cycles. It was the heart of the living galaxy, a vast chamber carved from white starstone and floating above the gas giant Terrales. Delegates from more than 80 civilizations filled the rising tiers. Scales shimmered, feathers rustled, bioluminescent skin pulsed softly in the dim light. Voices echoed constantly here, arguments, bargains, threats wrapped in polite words. But now there was silence. Every eye, every sensor, every compound vision organ was fixed on the same figure standing alone at the center of the chamber. A human. He was smaller than most present. No armor plates, no claws, no natural weapons, just a dark uniform, worn but clean, and a posture that was calm without being submissive. Ambassador Daniel Cross waited patiently, hands clasped behind his back. High Speaker Yalter of the Vierx Collective leaned forward on his elevated platform. His elongated neck rippled with irritation. This council was not informed of humanity's arrival, Yalter said. His voice vibrated through the hall. Earth does not hold emergency authority. Daniel nodded once. We know. A murmur rolled through the chamber. The Cathari warlord clicked his mandibles in open amusement. Then, why are you here, soft-skin? This council meets to discuss extinction-level threats. Daniel raised his eyes slowly. They were tired eyes, old eyes. That's exactly why I'm here. The silence deepened. At the highest tier sat Matron Selene of the Aurelian Conquered. Her species lived nearly 10,000 years. She had seen empires rise and fade into myth. Speak clearly, human, she said, and quickly. Daniel took a breath. The Devourers are moving. That word hit the hall like a physical force. Several delegates recoiled. Others hissed in fear. Ancient data glyphs flared to life across the chamber walls, displaying forbidden symbols. Impossible, some thought. Extinct, others hoped. Yalter's crest flared red. That is a dead legend. They were dormant, Daniel replied, not dead. The Cathari warlord slammed his claw against the stone. Lies. No species has survived contact with the Devourers. Daniel met the warlord's gaze. We have. The chamber erupted. Voices clashed, languages overlapped. Shock turned into anger, then disbelief. Selene raised one glowing hand, and the hall obeyed her silence. You will explain that statement, she said carefully, or you will be removed. Daniel nodded again. He seemed unsurprised. 3 standard years ago, he began, our outer colonies went dark. No distress calls, no debris, just gone. Holographic stars appeared, blinking out one by one. We thought it was piracy, then rebellion, then some new weapon. He paused. It was none of those. A young delegate seated near the lower tiers leaned forward. She was small, almost fragile by galactic standards. Her species, the Lyran, had only recently achieved spaceflight. What happened? She asked softly. Daniel looked at her, and for the first time his voice changed. They were eaten. A low sound passed through the hall. Fear had a taste, and everyone could sense it now. The devourers do not conquer, Daniel continued. They don't negotiate, they don't enslave. They consume biomass, technology, and knowledge. Entire systems vanish. Yalter scoffed. You claim humanity defeated them. Daniel shook his head. No. That surprised them. We survived them. The difference mattered. Matron Selene folded her radiant wings. Explain. Daniel activated a device on his wrist. The air filled with images, broken worlds, cracked moons, burned ships drifting in silence. This was our first mistake, Daniel said. We tried to fight them like an enemy. The images showed fleets forming neat lines, coordinated fire, precision. They adapted in hours. The next images were worse. Human ships torn apart, colonies collapsing. We lost 9 billion people in 6 weeks. The Lyran delegate gasped and covered her mouth. Daniel's jaw tightened, but his voice stayed steady. That's when we made our second mistake, he said. We tried to retreat. The images showed evacuation fleets being hunted down. They followed. The chamber was deathly still now. Then, Daniel said quietly, we remembered something about ourselves. Yalter narrowed his eyes. What is that? Daniel looked up at the tiers filled with ancient, peaceful, long-lived species. We are not a gentle race. That caused unease. We pretend to be, Daniel continued. We make rules, laws, treaties. We talk about honor and restraint. His eyes hardened. But we come from a world that tried to kill us every day. Aurelian matron Selene tilted her head. Many species say this. Daniel nodded. None mean it the way we do. The images shifted. Storms swallowing cities, earthquakes ripping continents, predators with teeth like knives, diseases spreading unseen. Earth does not forgive weakness, Daniel said. It never has. The Cathari warlord snorted. You still seem weak. Daniel smiled faintly. That's the third mistake everyone makes. He changed the projection again. Human history unfolded. Wars, firestorms, mushroom clouds blooming over cities. Gasps echoed. You fought yourselves, the Lyran delegate whispered. For thousands of years, Daniel replied, we were our own greatest predators. Selene's voice was quiet now. Why show us this? Because when the devourers came, Daniel said, we didn't invent anything new. He paused. We remembered. The images turned darker. Human ships detonating themselves near devourer swarms. Planets burned before they could be consumed. Entire systems turned into traps. You destroyed your own worlds, Yalter asked in disbelief. Yes. Some delegates recoiled in horror. We denied them food, Daniel said. Denied them learning, denied them time. That is madness, the Cathari warlord hissed. Daniel nodded, yes. Then he looked around the chamber. But it worked. The final images showed devourer formations breaking apart. Confusion, retreat. They learned, Daniel said, not that we were strong. His voice dropped. They learned we were willing. Silence returned, heavier than before. The Lyran delegate stood slowly. You sacrificed billions to save trillions. Daniel met her eyes. We didn't do it to be heroes, he said. We did it because extinction is worse. Matron Selene rose to her full height, light rippling across her wings. The devourers are moving again, she said, toward the core. Daniel nodded, we know. Yalter's crest flickered uncertainly, and you came to warn us. Daniel shook his head. I came to offer you something. The council leaned in as one. We will stand in front of them, Daniel said, again. The chamber exploded in argument. You expect us to allow your kind to decide our fate. You will burn entire systems. You are unstable. Daniel waited. When the noise faded, he spoke once more. "You are not built for this," he said simply. That stung. "You value preservation," he continued. "Balance, continuity." He looked at Selene. "We value survival." The young Lyran delegate swallowed. What would it cost? Daniel did not answer immediately. "Everything we have left," he said at last. A long pause followed. Somewhere deep in the archives of the Hall of Accord, ancient warnings stirred. Forgotten records whispered of a species that burned itself to stay alive. Matron Selene studied the human ambassador. "For a people so violent," she said slowly, "why warn us at all?" Daniel's expression softened just a little. "Because we learned something else about ourselves," he said. "What?" Selene asked. Daniel looked around the chamber one final time. "We don't want to be alone at the end." The lights dimmed. Far beyond the council's reach, something vast and hungry began to move. And humanity prepared once again to become what the galaxy needed, even if it feared them for it. The first Devourer fleet crossed into core space without warning. There was no declaration, no signal, no threat. Stars simply went dark. The outer listening posts of the Vyerx collective vanished in less than one rotation. Their defense platforms, considered impregnable, were stripped apart and absorbed. Entire populations disappeared without a single transmission escaping. Panic spread faster than any fleet could travel. The Hall of Accord reconvened in emergency session. Fear filled the chamber like poison gas. Even the oldest species felt it now, raw and unfamiliar. Ambassador Daniel Cross stood where he had before. Only now, no one questioned his presence. "They are moving faster than predicted," High Speaker Yalter said. His voice trembled despite his effort to remain composed. "Our fleets are mobilizing." Daniel did not look relieved. "That will not be enough," he said. The Cathari warlord slammed his claw down again, but this time it shook. "We have 5,000 warships," he growled. "We will meet them in open battle." Daniel shook his head. "They will consume you," he said, "and they will learn from it." Matron Selene rose slowly. Her light dimmed as if burdened. "What do humans propose?" she asked. Daniel inhaled deeply. "We form a line," he said, "here." A projection appeared, marking a ring of systems between the Devourers and the core. "These worlds are lightly populated," Daniel continued. "Mining hubs, trade relays." The Lyran delegate stood abruptly. "You want us to abandon them?" Daniel looked at her with something like regret. "Yes." The chamber erupted again, but Selene silenced it. "And then," she asked. Daniel's voice was quiet. "Then we burn them." The words settled like ash. Yalter recoiled. "You would destroy inhabited systems." Daniel nodded once. "We will evacuate who we can." "Who we can," Selene repeated. Daniel did not deny it. "This line becomes a graveyard," he said, "for them and for us." The Lyran delegate whispered, "Why does it always have to be so cruel?" Daniel met her eyes. "Because the universe is," he said. "We just stopped pretending otherwise." The vote was taken. It passed. Not because they agreed, but because they had no better answer. The human fleets arrived first. They did not come in perfect formation. Their ships were mismatched, scarred, and heavy with armor added over centuries of war. Names were painted across hulls in old human languages. Endurance. Last light. Not today. Alien observers watch from a distance, confused by the disorder. "These are their defenders," one officer muttered. Then the Devourers came. They did not resemble ships so much as moving hunger. Vast shapes twisted through space, made of layered biomass and stolen metal. They advanced without hesitation. The human line did not move. "Hold," came the human command across all channels. The first Devourer wave crashed into the mine systems. Stars flared. Human captains detonated entire suns, collapsing gravity wells and tearing Devourer formations apart. The shockwaves destroyed everything within range. Human ships vanished by the hundreds. They did not retreat. They charged. Alien fleets joined the battle, firing in controlled bursts, trying to preserve themselves. They broke first. Devourers adapted, bypassing shields, consuming reactors, tearing ships open like shells. Panic spread. Human ships surged forward instead. They rammed Devourer cores. They overloaded drives. They boarded abominations and detonated from inside. "Why don't they fall back?" an Aurelian commander cried. Daniel watched the battle feed in silence. "Because this is the line," he said. The Lyran delegate stood beside him, trembling. "They're dying," she whispered. "Yes," Daniel replied. Human losses climbed past 50%. Then 60. Then 70. Still they fought. The Devourers slowed. For the first time, they hesitated. They were learning something new. This prey did not preserve itself. It spent itself. Entire human task forces vanished to eliminate single Devourer entities. Where the Devourers consumed to grow, humans destroyed to deny growth. The galaxy watched in horror and understanding. At the center of the line, the flagship Endurance burned. Its hull was breached, fires raged inside. Captain Mara Holt stood on the bridge, blood on her brow. "Status," she demanded. "Engines failing," an officer replied. "Life support compromised." Mara looked at the Devourer Titan closing in. "Evacuation?" someone asked. She shook her head. "No one leaves," she said calmly. The crew understood. They had all volunteered. Mara opened a fleet-wide channel. "This is Captain Holt," she said, "for those behind us." Her voice did not shake. "We hold." The Endurance accelerated. It struck the Devourer Titan at full speed. Both disappeared in a burst of light that rippled across space. The Devourer advance faltered. The line held. For 3 days the battle raged. By the 4th, the Devourers began to retreat. Not because they were beaten, but because they were starving. They had lost too much biomass, too much knowledge, too much momentum. The galaxy survived. Humanity was shattered. When the final Devourer signature vanished, silence fell across the stars. The surviving human ships drifted, broken and few. In the Hall of Accord, no one spoke. Matron Selene finally rose. "Humanity has saved the core," she said. Daniel did not look proud. "We delayed extinction," he corrected. "That's all anyone ever does." The Lyran delegate approached him slowly. "Why?" she asked again. "Why bear this alone?" Daniel looked out at the stars, many of them dark now. "Because someone has to stand where others can't," he said. Yalter lowered his head. "For cycles, we believed ourselves enlightened," he said, "but we were protected by those willing to be terrible." Daniel did not argue. The council voted again. This time unanimously. Humanity was granted permanent sanctuary, resources, and honor beyond measure. Daniel declined most of it. "We don't fight for praise," he said. "We fight so others don't have to become us." The Lyran delegate watched him leave. "Will they come back?" she asked Selene. Selene's wings dimmed. "They always do," she said, "when the dark returns." Far from the core, in the ruins of burned systems, human survivors gathered their dead. They mourned. They rebuilt. They prepared. Because humanity knew something the galaxy now understood. Peace is not given. It is bought. And humans had always been willing to pay the price. End